Welcome to another episode of Portfolio Review. As always, I'm here with Steven from Show You Better.
Hey everyone, I'm excited for another round on portfolios. This time, we decided to do something different.
Yeah, we're gonna change up the pace a bit. We're gonna look at a bunch of portfolios super fast.
As if it was an employee looking at the portfolios for the first time, not leaving too much time in between each one.
Each one of us is gonna say one thing we liked and one thing we would change or fix in these portfolios. And this video is sponsored by Issuu, the all-in-one publishing platform. More on them in a bit.
Now, if you want to submit your portfolio for a chance to get reviewed in future episodes, check the link in the description.
Now let's take a look at the portfolios. Okay, so the first portfolio is from Jose. Great cover and overall good visual connection between the cover, the CV, and the table of contents. However, I felt that maybe the body text is a bit too dense. Yeah,
a little bit. I really like his diagram skills. They're really good, and I really like this first image from the first project. I think it has a really powerful point of view, but I don't know, maybe there's some unnecessary movement on the position of some elements. Like for example, the table of contents seems a bit dislocated, and on the project opening, the text seems like too distributed, too even, you know?
We have now Vincent's portfolio. First off, the color scheme is just on point. The whole graphic design is fantastic. So, you know, you see small details that add a ton of uniqueness to the portfolio. But I feel that some of the drawings are maybe too small when in comparison to the page. They then feel more heavy than they should, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, the axonometrics are absolutely incredible. They're delicate, and you know, they pair well with other portfolio elements. Maybe it's hard to find something that I dislike in this portfolio. And this is tiny, but maybe the scales and language should have a proper level attached to them. Basic, intermediate, advanced, and so on.
We're now looking at Hex's portfolio. Now, first off, I like the cover a ton, gotta say that. Overall, amazing portfolio, but what really caught my eye was the attention to detail in the body text, where he bolded important parts. This just makes it easier for the viewer. It's also hard to find something I dislike here, but if I was going to nitpick, I'll change the dash thickness on the sections and make it more subtle. I know this is nothing, but then while you're at it, just remove the birds. That's what I would do at least.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but overall, they have some incredible projects. The drawings and images are so strong. This desert project has some really, really powerful images. Maybe I'd like to point out that some text is unreadable on certain pages, but that's also not too relevant in contrast to the quality of the portfolio, you know?
Next up, Leonardo. And the simplicity of the project opening is great. Then the custom hand-drawn icons adds just a touch of personality. Oh, yeah. Now the renderings, man, I feel they're a bit too simple, you know, a bit dull compared to the rest. Yeah, I was going to mention the hand-drawing elements. Those are great, and I'd say it even elevated the whole portfolio despite the lack of detail in their actual renders. But, you know, the graphic design elements create some kind of distraction from the drawings, you know, backgrounds, half circles, all these things. I don't know if they're actually useful in the spread. Now let's take a look at Nabih's portfolio. The cover is really interesting, but I also found some of the drawings to be really good as well. Although the organization of the spreads needs to be worked on for sure, you know, but the margins and the separation from the border are what I'd start looking at first to fix. Yeah, I agree with you. The cover is definitely on point. It truly made this portfolio stand out. But then what intrigued me on the cover is that he isn't really shown throughout the portfolio. I know it's an experiment at the end of the portfolio, as you can see here, but the style could at least be on the CV and table of contents to tie everything together, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
We have now Randika's portfolio. Now, it's not common to see interior design portfolios on your list, Steven, and even so, such a good one like this. I like the whole simplicity of this portfolio. I felt that it was really strong. Now, some of the text boxes are a bit too long, like they go too wide. And also, I don't see a reason to add a bullet point on every body text. Keep it simple, maybe even align it to the left.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the images are great. There's a unique style to it, and I really, really like it. And I agree with you on the text part as well. Also, this is nitpicking, but I'd make these call out lines much thinner or try playing with numberings,
Definitely.
Now let's take a look at Caleb's portfolio. The diagrams here are really, really good. I also like the iterations that create some sort of pattern or texture on the spread. But I would say that the sky is just too strong and distracting. Also, some pages have too many small drawings. Instead of showing 4 elevations, I'd just maybe pick one and make it full spread.
I agree with you, Steven. The diagrams are great, especially these axonometrics, and I liked the orange accent color that he has. Now we're looking at Harsha's portfolio. Amazing renderings, especially this first one that I'm in love with, honestly. Yeah. Now you can clearly see that the portfolio was uploaded with an incorrect page configuration. So you see like double spreads, and that makes reading much more difficult. So make sure to support individual pages when uploading to Issuu. Issuu will take care of the rest and combine them into spreads. This is a common mistake that we actually see.
Yeah, the drawings, the images, and diagrams are really, really strong. But I feel that these amazing drawings don't have enough white space around them. You know, I'd give more margins and more white space so they could breathe.
Definitely. Let's hit pause for a moment. We gotta give a big shout out to Issuu for supporting this series. They help us deliver this amazing content for free to you here on YouTube.
So I bet you already heard about Issuu. It's not just any digital platform, it's the go-to place for publishing your portfolio. Think of it as your digital stage, shining a spotlight on your work for an audience of schools, buddies, and maybe your future boss. I've been a fan and a user of Issuu for ages, and trust me, it's the place to share your portfolio online.
Issuu gives your work its own unique URL. It's like handing out a business card, but way cooler and much more practical.
And that sleek page turning effect, it's like flipping through a real book, but digitally.
Now, beyond the flashy looks, Issuu also offers in-depth analytics. You're not just sharing your work, you're strategically connecting with your audience, understanding where they're turning from.
And setting it up is ridiculously easy. Sign up, drag your portfolio onto Issuu, play around with the settings, and boom, you're live. Design pros, you'll love the InDesign plugin. Grab it for free on Issuu's website, install it, and find it under the window tab tucked in extensions.
Issuu is running its biggest sale of the year right now for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. You can take 50% of a premium annual plan to unlock all of the best features. Check the links in the video description to know more about it. A massive thanks again for Issuu for sponsoring this video, and that's enough conversation. Let's get back to the portfolios.
Let's jump into Marcelo Renner's portfolio. I sort of like the green he picked out from all the text. Since it's not too overwhelming of a color choice, it's not heavy on the eye, but it also adds a touch of personality. But the margins and the overall positioning are kind of weird. Something about it is off. Either go full bleed or stand clear of the margins with some substantial space.
I would say that I like the renderings, especially the interior ones. Those are really strong. But then the portfolio feels that it was uploaded incorrectly. But I think it wasn't. It's just that the pages have a weird pairing. New projects starting on the second page is a bit confusing for me. Now looking at Kana's portfolio. The diagrams are strong, as you can see. And documenting the process, I feel that adds a ton to the portfolio. However, the portfolio consistency is kind of confusing to me. Like some pages, as you can see, Steven, are very minimal and even too much white space. But then some are cramped and very noisy. They sort of feel like they don't belong to the same portfolio.
Yeah, well, I love the fact that it has a really good extra projects at the end, like parametric stuff, studio documentation. I always find that this enriches the portfolio so much. Maybe the first project is kind of condensed, and the feature image, I feel, is not the strongest among the ones that they have available. But I do understand the 50-page limit on the Issuu free version. Now, jumping onto Idris's portfolio, the large spreads with enough white space are done in a beautiful, beautiful way. I'd also like to point out that here, the text boxes in a fixed width across the portfolio is just such a great solution. So what's not good about this portfolio? Maybe the first few pages, like the CV and the table of contents, could be a little bit better, especially compared to the rest of the portfolio layout. The text right here is not done right. It has a weird letter spacing and is too cramped.
Well, I like the fact that he took a ton of time with each spread. It doesn't feel rushed. And some of these compositions are just on point. Like here the spreads 22 and 23. I love it. The red accent color is also nice. And what I also would fix or change, I agree with you 100%, man. Maybe the first pages could have a little bit of extra work.
Yeah.
Moving on to Dastan's portfolio. Fantastic renderings and fantastic physical model rendering skills. This is amazing. Now, it has a nice cover, and so the cover is not the problem, but the text is just not there. The drawing says a 10 already. Just simplify the wording portfolio and your name. Just make it simpler and let the drawing shine.
Yeah, and some of the drawings are really strong here, especially some axonometrics in some plans. Although the CV and the table of contents could also get a new version, I think. A stylized photo has a lot of identity, then a not needed gray background, and then alternating the table of contents preview are elements that are not going well together. Now, if we take a look at Santiago Romero's portfolio, I really like when he takes the full spread to show something important, either a rendering or a diagram. Maybe he could apply this more curated layout to his first project.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it has a nice cover, but it's missing the name, I would say. But then what I like the most about the portfolio is these sections here. Yeah. They're really nice. But then he's repeating the drawings, like the section fragments and too many drawings in the page. Yeah. Maybe I would reduce the clutter. Now, Richin's portfolio, overall, page design is good. There's nothing too cramped and nothing that feels loose. But maybe small things I would change. I would remove the inner shadow on the table of contents preview here. I wouldn't even overlay the text there. Let the images have their space, let it breathe. I know this is small, but it's what I would change.
I like the collages a lot. It's got like a consistent look across the portfolio, so it does feel like a cohesive document. Maybe I'd change the font. Our mono or all caps fonts are usually harder to read, and that on a body text is often not a great idea. There's no problem keeping it for titles of subtitles, but for body text, I change the font.
Alexandra's portfolio. Now, this is a third semester student portfolio, Steven. And she has already a lot of details, like construction details. That's a big plus for sure. And I also like the table of contents project preview that she has worked on. And then the CV sort of undermines the table of contents with this dark background. I would say either separate the two into like two spreads, or then just make the CV more minimal.
Yeah, but I mean, like for a third semester student, this is really complete. A bit of everything and nicely done. Maybe, yeah, the same dark background you mentioned on the CV appears on the description text on the project opening. Maybe I'd remove that to let the images have more presence on the page. But overall, this is really impressive. Taking a look at Gabriel Troncoso's portfolio, he's got some incredible collage skills. I mean, they're just out of this world. Although all throughout the portfolio, they're absolutely amazing. Maybe at first I thought these were renderings, but then reading more about the project, you see that it's completed. So I'm assuming they're photos.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, in that case, it's always important to add the credits to the photos.
It has a fantastic first project opening. You might think or you might feel that it is packed with information, like too much information, but since there's a clear hierarchy between the elements, it doesn't feel so. And even the smaller drawings are curated to be read in this scale, so that's really nice. And in terms of portfolio, I think nothing really bothers me, man. But I'd say that the cover is wider than the rest of the portfolio. Not that this is bad, it just feels slightly odd. Yeah. I don't know if it was intentional or not. Giovanni's portfolio. I love the diagram spread of the second project, 22 and 23. This is what really stood out to me. But then I feel that it could be organized differently, you know, giving more white space, maybe even dividing it into two spreads.
Yeah, the table of contents has some really nice previews. They feel uniquely crafted for this purpose. Maybe on the table of contents, I'd consider removing the hello and properly aligning the content's title. That's it. Now for Harshil's portfolio, he's got some really interesting drawings, especially this perspective section right here. But I feel like some pages feel unnecessarily heavy You know, Harshil is applying for an internship, according to what he said on the form review. So I'd say there's no need to include every single drawing you have crafted as if you were doing, you know, like a checklist.
Yeah, I think this is a common mistake of a first portfolio, one of the first. Like, feel like you should include everything. But I like his blends a lot, and especially this exploded axonometric, quite nice. And I often see no problems with black pages, like black background pages, when done correctly. But sometimes it feels that it doesn't allow proper viewing of the project, which then can be a problem. So I would consider that a bit. Now Isaac's portfolio, inspiring portfolio for sure. This quick look that we gave it to it, like love it from start to finish. And I don't think there's anything I would fix on the portfolio, to be honest.
I know. Like, indeed, the attention to detail in the variety of images is just outstanding. Nothing that pops up, but if I were to nitpick way too much, maybe I feel that the photo alongside the project opening as sort of a preview is maybe too small, making it feel out of place or unnecessary, you know?
I agree with you. It is a strong photo that he has, but it feels like he doesn't have the size that he needs.
Now let's jump on to Kuruvila's portfolio. And here the diagrams and the maps, I think, are on point. Overall, this was a really, really good portfolio. Maybe the body text could use some line spacing. What do you think?
Yeah, lately I've been looking at a ton of line spacing, and I feel that extra line spacing gives more breathe to the reading experience, so I'd look into that.
Yeah.
But what I liked about the portfolio is the overall organization of the pages. They feel balanced, you know, like there's proper attention to the elements, like making sure they have the proper size and they're legible. So this is nice. Now the CV, on the other hand, it feels a bit too cramped. Maybe it was the multiple vertical lines that you can see here, or the addition of every program logo and the progress bars. Now more spacing to the lines again on the CV and reducing the visual clutter would help a ton.
Now, if we take a look at Nicholas Richard's portfolio, you can see that he has some amazing drawings and also some amazing diagrams. This is really interesting, and it's really different. Maybe I take an extra look at the margins, perhaps. You know, some pages feel like the margins are smaller or the drawings are invading that space of the margins.
Yeah, you got to keep it consistent. It's not that this is going to take your portfolio to the next level. It's just that avoiding these mistakes just ties everything together. This is a very different portfolio, Steven. Like using different background colors and then colored text is really hard to pull off. And I think here it was done really well. But then for some reason, the cover, the CV, and the table of contents feel like they don't belong to the rest of the portfolio. If you're going to choose that style, just keep it consistent so that it feels like a single document. We have now Manuela's portfolio. Powerful drawings, really nice. All of them. And the opening trio, the cover, the CV, and table of contents are super nice. It's sort of odd that they have a different style from the rest. Not that one is better or worse than the other, it's just they're different, and that's kind of odd.
Yeah, I really like Manuela's project opening structure. The very subtle box stroke and the clear hierarchy between drawings and images seems really well done. Maybe the style from the first pages is just so different from the rest. You know, that thin stroke is in dashes. The font seems kind of different. I try to keep them consistent to maximize visual cohesiveness. But apart from that, this is really good. And now on to Panchal's portfolio. There are some amazing collages, which I think they're really, really nice. And I also love the fact that the cover is vectorized. Yeah, some of the spreads feel like they have too much information. Again, I know that Issuu has a 50-page limit, but then I'd consider filtering some of these images out.
I especially loved the red accent color used throughout the portfolio. This is really a nice touch. And then especially on the titles, as you can see, and great font choice, man. I liked it a 10.
Yeah.
You know, overall, nothing I would change really. I feel that if you get titles, text, overall positioning, somewhat correct without major mistakes, most of the work in portfolio creation is done. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
And then for the last one, we've got Karen's portfolio. Strong portfolio, as you can see, powerful images, powerful drawings. It's got construction detailing. Overall, really, really good portfolio. However, it has an odd project opening where the title is repeated 2 times. And then it feels like the two feature images are sort of competing. So I don't know, I would maybe change that.
Yeah, like on Karen's portfolio, the 2D drawings have the correct line hierarchy, you know? This is just so nice and elevates the portfolio so much. Maybe the project opening body text formatting could be improved just a little bit. Maybe it's a bit too wide, or the justification is making it hard to read. But apart from that, the drawings are really nice. All right, this was really fun. Thank you all for watching.
Don't forget to watch the latest portfolio review on Steven's channel. Go check out on Show Me Better right now.